Remember Adam said that we need a jingle. Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the Praise the Pickle podcast. This is a wonderful, super special, super duper deep dive Moonlight special of Dark Souls 3.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I'm your host, Mr. Benjamin Watts. I have with me on my left, Mr. Kevin Hart.
Hello, everyone.
I have with me on my middle,
Across from me. Yeah.
Mr. Adam Skinner.
Hello.
Hello. And I have with me on my right, Mr. Daniel Watts.
Hi.
I hope everyone's having a lovely day.
It's a very, very lively start to the podcast.
We are going to be doing a big old review of Dark Souls 3, which was our game of the month for January.
Voted by the public.
Voted by the public, yes. Which will be the only one voted by the public, because we don't do that anymore. But we cover the game in 5 categories, which are story, gameplay, visual, audio, and value. And we all give it a score out of 10 for each category, and then it comes out with an average percentage score, which I will run through throughout the podcast. If you have not played Dark Souls 3, do not listen to this pod, because it is super, super spoiler heavy and just kind of pointless, really. There's just no point listening to it.
Or if you have no intention of playing the game and just want to listen to see what maybe it's about, listen up.
Like the sound
Open
of
your
our
ears.
voices.
Yeah.
I feel like knowing what happens in it isn't really going to detract.
That's a fair
from
point.
the
This, is
enjoyment
probably,
of the
this,
game.
this might be one of the only cases where you can actually listen to the podcast and not have to worry about spoilers.
Yeah, because a lot of the storyline and stuff as well, you don't really know much about it during playing the game.
Yeah.
You have to go looking for it.
Yeah, you've got to investigate. Anyway.
So, let's kick things off with story.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, do you want to give a little synopsis of what this game is?
Yes. So, the main plot, I'd say, is you have to put all the Lords of Cinder back onto their thrones. So, you have the main area that you're kind of put into, called the Filing Shrine, and then there's...
It's like your hub.
Yeah. And then there's 5 thrones, with which one of them already has one of the Lords of Cinder on there already. So you have to go put all the Lords of Cinder back on their thrones, but the problem is that they don't want to go there. So you have to force them to go and sit on their thrones. I'm just going to read out what I wrote down, because I can't remember the exact part of it. But so I said, you put all the lords back on their thrones. This ends the cycle of the first flame and the curse of the undead. The curse of the undead is the hollow, which takes over people and makes them basically turn dead. The first turn dead. I don't know how to put it. Like they kind of turn into zombies almost. Like yeah. Or undead. Yeah.
Hollow. Bleach. Yeah.
The first flame is what gave life to this place in the. It uses people's souls to keep it alight. But the darkness is a very, very, very strong, and it essentially fights the flame and tries to get rid of the flame and get rid of all life. With this happening, it means that this flame is going out. And the power of the flame was born by 4 lords who took over the dragons. I don't know what that means, actually.
Neither do we.
They basically... These 4 Lords of Cinder have tried to keep the flame alight. They begin to fail. Over time, the Lords of Cinder were born to keep this alight. But when it came to Lothric, who is a boss that you have to fight, when it was his turn, he refused to do it. Which then reborns all the other Lords of Cinder in order to kind of make this flame go back alive. It's probably really poorly described.
No, I
He's
kind of
probably-
know what you mean. Yeah.
It's essentially one of the Lords of Cinder. It was his turn to light the flame. He doesn't want to do it, so all the other Lords of Cinder are reborn in order to.
So you call it the cycle of the first flame.
Yeah.
So each Lord of Cinder is supposed to do something.
It's basically meant to relight the flame.
Yeah, because
And
one
if-
stopped, it meant that it was no longer anyone else's go, which meant that they all came back alive, essentially.
Well, no, yeah, because it was a guy called Loverick. It was his turn to do it, and he didn't want to do it. So all the other Lords of Cinder, they came back alive in order to do it, but they didn't want to go. They basically all abandoned the flame, and they didn't want to do it, leaving the Ashen One being the character you play, who you come back alive, and it's your job to drag these people onto their thrones to relink the flame.
Yes.
That was probably a really poorly put way.
No, it makes sense.
I think I made notes initially that made sense in my head when I wrote them down, but when it comes to reiterating it, I was, yeah.
Alright, so that's the story. Basically, in terms of the type of game it is, for those odd people that don't know what Dark Souls is, it is a hack and slash style game set in not a hack and slash.
I don't like how loosely you use the word hack and slash personally.
Alright.
I feel like it's more of a...
Hack and slash, I feel like you don't have to care about anything, you just go crazy and hack and slash, whereas this, you can't do that.
It's a bit more calculated.
clearly
Yeah,
smart.
it's a calculated hack and slash. Does that make sense?
Well, it's an RPG.
Yeah.
Alright, it's an RPG where you hack and slash things with swords and other weapons.
Yeah.
Or bludgeon them, depending on your weapon. And yeah, it's got loads of boss fights. It's set in like this sort of, I don't know, gothic, medieval style fantasy setting.
Very grim, very dark.
Very grim, very dark, not very futury.
Future.
So, let's start with Adam. What
Hello.
did you think of the story?
The story in Dark Souls is weird because you don't need to know any of it to enjoy the game.
Agreed. Yeah.
I knew the bit about the Lords of Cinder. Everything else that you just mentioned,
That's
Kevin,
because there was a cutscene for it.
completely news to me.
What I like about it was there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
But you have to go looking for it in like all the item descriptions
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And because nothing's really confirmed by the game, it's all for hints and clues and vague descriptions. It creates these massive groups of fan theories that are just so interesting to listen to. It's like Game of Thrones, all the theories about that.
Yeah.
They were just some just so fun to read, and you just wish they were true. Rips his name. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's setting's great. Grim medieval. It reminds me of Berserk. If anyone's read that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say like kind of Castlevania-y sort of, in my opinion. But
There's no vampires.
no, not in terms
Not exactly, yeah.
Not in
like
terms
that.
of the things living there. I mean the actual Gothic architecture sort of style. But Adam disagrees.
No, I get it.
Okay. That's usually where you respond. But yeah.
I was thinking of Metroid more than Vania. Because I'm so used to Metroidvania.
Oh right, yeah. It's definitely not like Super Metroid. Yeah. Okay, so you didn't really follow the story per se yourself.
Not when I initially played it.
Yeah.
But I went back after I'd finished it and read up on the story.
Okay.
And reading through it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And stuff like that. And there's multiple endings, which is always good.
4?
Technically, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more like 3.5.
Okay, well, yeah.
But yeah. It's good.
3.5. Alright.
Actually.
Cool. Dan?
I didn't follow the story on my first playthrough. For me, it was more of a mechanical gameplay type experience, but I did enjoy the environmental storytelling, and although it didn't really tell me much about what was going on in terms of the narrative, it gave me a sense of what the world was about, and it gave me an idea of kind of where all these people come from, and you don't sort of meet many NPCs in the game, besides the hub and the occasional person that you meet. But just in the architecture and in the layout of these places, you can kind of get a sense of
the type of world it is.
Yeah.
It's technically kind of post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can sense that. Yeah.
Because the bad event that ends like life already happened. You're trying to
almost get rid of it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Remove it.
That's one of my points. I mean, so my main point for story is, if the premise is fairly simple, in reality, it's the story is, go kill these bosses and put their trophy things on thrones. That's it, and it makes everything good again. That is it. It's very simple, but it's a basic premise in a very interesting lore-filled world. So it's like
journey before destination.
Yes,
Your journey of getting those trophies and stick them on the throne rather than
exactly
the end result.
Yeah. So the main overarching story I didn't really care about. There was a little CGI trailer that started like, "Oh, the Lords of Cinder are cindery," and you're like, okay, cool. And then you kill them, and yeah, that's fine, whatever. It's so basic, so bare bones, whatever. But like you said, the journey to that and the post-apocalypse thing, I found really interesting. It was really interesting that the setting is you can see, almost imagine what life could have been like before this event occurred. So there's that bit earlier on where you're walking through villages and things like that, and people would have lived there, and there's like, you walk through shops and all sorts of places, and you go to the castle would have been full of people, and you go to the throne room, and instead of like the king being there's a massive boss there, and there's a lot of stuff in the environment which tells the story enough in a kind of imaginative way, not like an in-your-face, like, oh, here is a picture of what it used to be like before. Like, here's a vision of what it used to be. Nothing like that. It just you walk into an area and you go, people used to live here, and now it's full of these decrepit things, and it's like
the hollowing essentially has made them like this.
Yes, yeah. So all the enemies are, and every enemy fits the environment, and it's so clever the way it does that. Like, you go through this game and it's, you go to the swamp and there's crabs, and before this they were probably nice little cute crabs. You go crab fishing, you get your little crab line and throw it in the water, and you get a little crab, and now they are like 50-foot massive freaking monsters that chase you down, and
particularly like the witch, I can't remember what they called them, but like the big fat witch lady.
Doctor. The evangelical.
Yeah. I really like the whole cultist vibe that you got from all that as well. Like, you could tell that these villagers were going through this ordeal, and they were looking for healers, and you could kind of get the whole religious cult sense going on.
Their laughs was super creepy.
Yeah, the sound design on those was great.
Yeah, so I mean, that's in terms of the world, I suppose. What do you think, Kevin? I know you've explained what it is, but what do you think of the story?
So I only took interest in the story once once we finish the game, you can essentially do a re-game of it. It was just basically play the game over
New
again.
Game Plus.
Yeah, New Game Plus. And I watched the CGI bit right at the beginning again, and when I saw all the Lords of Cinder coming up, that made me think, oh, so that's the whole point of what you're meant to be doing, because beforehand it doesn't really give you too much in terms of, because I remember you saying, what do we do now? And I said, like, the whole point is you're meant to be putting these heads on the thrones, which is what you got to do in order to get to the final boss, kind of thing. And once I kind of looked that up, it made me into going more deeper into looking into everything, which has made me love this game. I don't generally get into lore of many games, but the lore behind this game, I think, is phenomenal. The story, I guess, like you said in itself, the story is such a bog standard story. There's nothing really to it.
Yeah.
All the individual NPC stories, it's a situation where you have to look behind who they are and why they're doing what they're doing. Otherwise, it's simply just go talk to them for a bit, and then they'll be somewhere else later on in the game. You got to talk to them then. You got later on. You know, it's not a. There's not really any. Yeah, you don't really get, like a lot of RPG type things. You usually get given a place you have to go to, and then do something there to follow the quest on. It's more like you just traverse your way through this game.
Yeah.
To then almost complete that quest, part of the quest, to then go to the next. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, overall I think it's pretty good. Just it takes a bit of reading into and a bit of almost people interpreting all this writing to make up, which is what I think is good as well. I think a lot of it leaves it open to your imaginations to say, and it links a lot with previous Dark Souls as well.
Yeah,
that's what I like as well.
A lot of the locations in this one, are from the previous.
And the same people are in same NPCs as well. Are in the previous one, like the Onion. He's in the previous one.
Onion Knight, and Orlando.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
And the cat and the actual people you fight are in previous ones as well.
Yeah.
So there's always theories that some of these characters are just bosses from previous games, but something has happened to them and they sort of
withered down,
become something else entirely.
Which have you played the previous Dark Souls games?
I've played them all.
Okay.
We played number 2 or 1 a little bit.
We haven't played enough.
No,
you've played a bit of 2 because I remember watching and
we were so bad
judging.
At it.
Yeah.
2 was supposed to be like the worst of the
series. It's by far the
I've
weakest of the 3.
Dark Souls Remastered is meant to be good though. People like it quite a lot.
So I only played Demon Souls.
I thought it didn't really fix the issues that the first game had
No.
though.
Yeah, it's just a graphical upscale.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was that big of a graphical one either.
No. Does Demon Souls link to it?
I don't think so.
It's like Bloodborne doesn't really link to it either.
I'm not sure. The feeling of it definitely is similar.
Yeah.
And the setting, it might be set in the same universe, but in terms of the plot, I couldn't tell you. It's been so long since I played it.
Okay. In terms of, I really liked. So obviously, my main thing was the world and the lore that got extracted from that just by looking at it, if that makes sense. And I also really I kind of felt like the bosses fitted the area.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah. If that makes sense. They all sort of, I don't know how that works story wise.
It fits perfect. Like if you read the reason why all these people are and where they are, it fits. Yeah, perfect.
And so all the bosses seem to have a purpose for being in that area as to why they were there, which I thought was really interesting, I guess.
And they're not just like bigger versions of the standard enemies that are in the area, which you see in a lot of games.
We'll get to that with visual and gameplay, but the bosses are absolutely insane. But,
spectacular.
Yeah, they're going to haunt my dreams, man. Cool, anything else to say about a story? It's weird one. It's a weird one. I don't think we can cover it that much because of... does it reflect badly on a game if you have to read up on lore after it? That's my question.
I feel like you don't have to. The lore is in there in the game, but the issue is you can miss it.
Yeah.
Because it's either hidden or item descriptions, or it's in dialogue that's optional.
Yeah.
But does that not make the game, in a way, quite good? Because if you want to play the game for what it is, and just the general gameplay, you don't have to bother about the little bits that come with it. Where if you quite enjoy it, and like there's certain things like a lot of the time they talk in riddles, they talk in just a very elusive, like they say something, you think to yourself, well, what the freaking what does that mean, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And if you want to get to know all about it, then you can read up about it. You can look around the area. You can kind of decipher and expand the words you've put. I don't know how these people have figured out all this stuff, but Whereas if you don't care about what they say, which I'm going to say through my first run through, I think I was worrying more about how I'm going to beat. Yeah, because the game is so difficult. Trying to get through the game, it was my main thing. Whereas going through a second through round, it was more like, why are you here? What's the point of kind of.
I might try and play it again actually, and sort of try and look at the lore of it.
I've got notes here for some of the lore. If you really read into it, it makes you really think to yourself, like it's just.
It definitely intrigued me enough to want to learn more about it, and I thought that was cool that it did that. And
you got really into it very quick.
I did
very early
Yeah.
on. Dan loved this game so early on, and his it's weird because his excitement made me excited
Yeah.
by it.
Yeah, I loved it, and definitely you could feel the lore, you could feel the depth and the intricacies of the world there. And for me, the biggest negative, and this is purely a situational thing, is that I didn't feel like I had enough time to fully appreciate it. And if I didn't have other games on my agenda, and I didn't have other things that I was needed to get around to playing, and I had, a longer stretch of time, and I had, I wanted to dedicate myself to a single game, I could definitely see myself doing it, and I could definitely see myself absorbing more of the story the second and third playthrough. I mean, I played Demon's Souls 5, 6, 7, 10 times. So I just kept going and going. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
But as a limited, you've only got time to play it once kind of thing, I don't know.
Or in my case, like 3 times.
Just need to speed run it.
Yeah. Okay. Should we do our where would we talk about world design? Visual.
Visuals.
Visuals.
Cool. Okay, fine. Let's do our scores.
What's it out?
Oh, this is a tricky one.
Out of 10.
Out of 10 and 7's average, right?
7's average.
I forgot about that. Brilliant. He's still disgusted by it.
Just how
Hold
modern
myself to
journalism
a
works.
higher standard of journalism than 7 is average.
Okay, no, 7 is like it's good, but just good.
Average is 5 is like I have zero feelings on this.
Yeah.
Well, that's how people treat 7s.
No, 7's like good, but it's
On the
just
positive
difficult to
side.
say that 7 is above average because it just.
I mean, it is above average.
Well, we don't have an average actually right now because we've only reviewed one game, so.
Yeah, that's true.
And that one score got 72%, so I'm going to call 70
Was it
average
72?
at the minute. Yeah.
I thought it was the 78. Okay.
Yeah, see.
No, your score was 78, and then our scores brought it down to 72. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to go around? Just keep going around in a circle and we do
Yeah,
it?
I'll start.
All right.
I'm going to give it, based on what I know of the game, and I'm going to upset a lot of Dark Souls fans here.
Get ready.
I
You take him that side, I take him this side.
am going to give it the benefit of the doubt and give it a 7.
Oh, blimey, that was a lot better than I expected.
Yeah,
I was
I was
expecting a
expecting it to be
4 or
lower.
3.
No. I was going to give it a 6. So in my head, the score was a 6 from what
Give it
I
a 6
played.
then, yeah.
No, because I know that the lore is interesting, and I saw in the world what the story could have been.
Mm-hmm.
It was my choice whether I wanted to look into that or not, and I had the time to, so I can't use that to reflect that on the game because I did have the time to because I completed it on like the 14th of January or something. I had a whole rest of the month where I could have played through it again, looked at the item descriptions, looked at the lore properly, but it was my choice not to, and I know it would have been really interesting. I'm not going to let my time restraints bring the score of this game down, so I'm going to give it a 7.
I'm going to jump in there and say I feel pretty much the exact same way. I was going to go for a 6, and it intrigued me enough with what it did show me that I know that I would certainly want to dive deeper into it. So, yeah, 7 for me as well.
Cool.
You're right, he's done.
A little table.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to go for an 8.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think mainly just for the fact that I don't generally go for lore for games. That kind of part of it, I'm not into it really. But this game has really dragged me into it, and I don't I don't want to say that the storyline was really good in comparison to other games because I can't compare it to other games. I'm not that into it. So from what I know, and I think it's brilliant, which is why I think even an 8. I think for myself is low, but I'm gonna go for an 8.
You can vote high, you know.
I can, yeah, but I feel like I have to because other games might be just as good. I don't know because I've never really looked into them that much.
Fair enough, yeah. But you're saying above average. That's an 8. Adam?
I'm also going for 8.
Cool.
Because what's there is good. The only thing marking it down is the accessibility of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Play.
I think that's a good final point actually. Yeah, the just because it's there, it would be like saying the story in, I don't know.
Lord of the Rings. That's got a lot of. I know it's a bit of a weird word to put, but it's got a lot of background behind it.
It's more. Imagine a game where all of the story is in journals you pick up. Yeah, and the only way to access the story is by reading through all the journals.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's one of those things where it's kind of like, should you have to do that to experience the story?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
That's kind of the, yeah. So, our podcast score for story of Dark Souls 3 is 7.5.
Yes, my math is on point.
Good job, Kev.
I just had a random thought on the story as well. The only thing that I can compare this experience to is my time playing World of Warcraft. Because the first character that I made, I was like keeping up with my friends and I was rushing through and I was doing quests and I was doing dungeons. And the second time I played through, my second character, I spent more time kind of, because I've done it already, I spent more time reading things, I spent more time getting to know the NPCs and sort of admiring the world a bit more. And you realise how rich and deep it is. It's the only comparison
They're getting better as a developer though. Because Sekiro, I think the story is a big improvement.
Is it?
I've heard that.
In that even on the first playthrough, you've got more of an idea of what's going on.
It's more cutscenes.
Because it's more character focused.
Yeah.
But no. I've deleted it now. I've deleted it. I can't.
Wow.
I'm so when I say the thing is the game was good. I'm just terrible at it. That's the problem with it. There's like with Dark Souls. I just might be a bit off tangent, but like with Dark Souls, you can improve yourself if you can't do a bit. Sekiro, the only way you can improve yourself is to get better at the game, and I've tried that, and I'm just crap at the game. Like I don't understand how you're. I don't. You know what? It's a whole different topic.
How quick curiosity? What bit made you quit?
I got to a. You know when there's a bit where you can traverse along. I don't know. It's just not about this.
This is
Not
so
worry
off
about this.
topic.
Just quickly.
Okay, there's a bit where like you traverse along all that top of the buildings and stuff, and then there's at one point there's like one of them bird people that come flying at you from miles away. It's around about that area.
The bird. Okay.
I know I've got.
Yeah.
Content.
Yeah,
Content?
sorry. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So now we will talk about what will probably be the biggest section, which is
Music.
gameplay. So
Pretty good.
Decent.
cool. Right, scores, everyone. So the gameplay.
I mean, you've got some talking points for this one.
What have I written?
It's just iconic at this point.
Yeah.
Because so many other games have sort of
Taken from it.
Try to replicate.
and it's just
It's just a hack and
it's just
slash.
good.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
I use that loosely.
in effect,
Okay.
yeah, but I don't know. It's just really good.
It is really good. It's methodical combat is like what I would call it. It's every single swing, you can be punished for anything you do wrong. It's kind of like Super Smash Brothers, right? You screw up a smash, then you're getting smashed off. It's like that, yeah. So you swing and you miss, that leaves you open to an attack. Yeah, you can roll, which is great. You can roll, but then you can roll off the edge of a cliff and die. You can roll into attacks. You can every single. It's like a dance. Every tiny encounter you get into is basically a dance. So you have to figure out what they're going to do. You have to predict what they're going to do. You have to read attacks, kind of like Monster Hunter style. You have to know what the build up to each attack looks like. You have to know how to avoid each attack. Yeah, if you want to start, you can parry if you want, and you have to learn how to parry properly because you need to time it perfectly with all their different attacks. And there is just so much going on. It is beautiful.
Is parrying anywhere similar in this game like it is in Sekiro? Because I tried on my second playthrough to be like it's Sekiro.
I've heard it isn't.
When
we're not
they
talking about Sekiro.
I know, but like for example, I was assuming that once they go to attack you, if you go to parry them, it parries as they're attacking you, and I tried that, and it just goes straight through my thing. And I'm like, I don't understand.
It's not as forgiving as Sekiro. You have to get the timing.
That's it.
Right.
I'm putting a lockdown, just like with Outer Worlds.
I'm talking about
when I
Dark
said we're not
Souls
allowed to talk about Fallout.
Yeah,
Dark
we're not
Souls
talking about
3.
Sekiro. Okay.
In this case, like I assumed that
I'm telling Kevin how
With
to parry.
with your shield, I was assuming. I mean, I guess that's another thing with the gameplay is they don't teach you much. Like they have the beginning bit where it's like R1 is to hit, R2 is to hit, but a lot of it is very much down to your own. You have to learn the style of how to. Like so when I jumped back in to start playing this, I jumped back in on the second bonfire I think you get.
Yeah.
Right on top of the wall.
The one I missed.
Did you?
I missed that the first time I played.
Oh.
Well, after the gargoyles carry you.
No. Literally the second bonfire. So like.
I didn't miss that one. Yeah.
I did.
Oh.
Yeah. So like you. I forgot my point now. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So I started off literally there, and I went to go fight one of those it was like a guy. He just had a little dagger, and I couldn't beat him. He was literally one character, and I couldn't beat him. And I thought to myself, like, you need some help. You need to start with like the most bog standard character. Which then I get, even if you start with the most bog standard character, they do jump you straight into a boss. Like
that boss is piss easy.
Okay, he's piss easy if you know what you're doing. No, he's piss easy if you know what you're doing. If you've never played a Dark Souls game before and you jump into that boss, you're gonna get mullered. I remember us two getting mullered by this guy.
Just get good.
Especially because he morphs into some freaking. His name is Lunex Gundir. Just for people.
I always thought his name was Index.
Index. No.
Yeah, I never read it right.
Right. Yes, agreed. It is punishing the game, but it has a really good learning curve.
But I mean, it's notorious for being difficult.
Yeah.
People don't reference stuff as the Dark Souls of their genre.
Yeah, exactly. It's become
Because
a whole description in itself, really.
It's iconic.
What do you think, Dan?
I love the fine control that you have over your character. Like, there's no weird kind of iframes and glitchy movements. Like, you can take a small step back, or you can take a short roll to the side, and I don't know, I felt like, and switching between stances as well. Like, it just felt very
in control,
weighty. Yeah, you never felt like when you died that it was cheese, that some weird game mechanic had screwed you over.
Yeah,
Like,
well, there's the occasional
the
time.
camera
in the corridors and stuff.
The camera.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's a hard fix to do. To be fair, it's
Also,
not the camera issues.
I think
so
the camera
standard in
itself
lots of games.
is fairly decent as it is. I just think there's certain moments where you might get backed up against the wall and the camera just like, what the freaking hell do I go, kind of thing. Like, where am I meant to go? And it zooms in inside of you, and you're a bit.
I also like the weapon art stuff. The fact that every weapon in the game has a completely different set of movements and abilities, and allow you to navigate the arenas of battle differently. It's quite nice. You can,
and
choose your playstyle.
Exactly, they allow for tons of different play
Just
styles.
out of curiosity, what playstyles did you guys go?
Good question.
I just basically got
Balls
the
to the
Exile
wall.
Greatsword and went full strength.
Exile Greatsword,
Yeah.
full strength build. It's fun. Respectable.
I'm gonna get berated now for saying Dex build, but
Whoa, Dex Boys for life.
Oh,
yes.
it's a Dex, man.
All about that Dex.
No, that's strength, man.
Nah, strength.
Don't worry, man. I changed my pirate guy into a strength, so I got you.
Good man. That's part of it. Part of the fun is that you can pick anything you want, really.
You can combo it with all the various magic stuff.
Yeah.
So my guy was
There's magic in this game,
yeah,
Jack.
my guy was Dex and Faith.
yeah, I was gonna go that way.
Oh, you
So
went for
it's a
the
good
two
mix.
swords, didn't you? And you've buffed them up.
I quit just as I was.
No, I
working.
had the spears.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
The
I didn't use any spears.
Drang.
Yeah.
Twin spears.
Okay.
I was heading towards the crystal weapon magic thing, which like covers your weapon in crystals. It's supposed to do core damage.
Yeah, this game has so many layers to the combat, and it basically means that, like Kevin, you can play it multiple times and have fun every single time. Basically,
I do find though the choice of armor doesn't really matter.
Armour, I feel like it's more of a... No, the only thing it matters for me, from what I learned, is that some bosses, for example, the Nameless King, I could not for the life of me beat him. So I solely changed my entire gear, and even my rings that I put on, and even some of my spells and stuff I had, were all countering lightning. Because he was a lightning,
that for a couple of bosses, yeah.
Because all of his stuff did lightning, and that's the only time I ever felt as if my armor was really helping me.
Yeah, I think by being not overly effective, it's kind of teaching you that if you decide to keep playing this game, by new game plus 2, 3, 4, everything's going to one hit you anyway. So just get on with it.
You can embrace fashion souls.
Exactly. When we get into
just, wear what looks good.
Precisely. Yeah, I agree. It's
yeah,
kind of,
I mean, so
like transmogging well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sure. That's what it's all about.
My full Dead Mind's armor set.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also with all the swords and weapons as well, you pick up the gems, and you can, for example, I'm as a pyromancer at the beginning, I changed my weapon to be a fire. Like I had a fire gem to it. Turns out later on in the game, fire gems are the most useless things ever, and they don't actually get help when you're a pyromancer. Because
that's going to be my next question. Does that help it scale?
Yeah, no, because it turns out that you actually get a buff as a pyromancer. It's actually an ability that you can buff your weapon with fire, and that it adds the damage onto what your initial thing
part
is.
of the learning curve.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
can we talk about the big?
No, we're not there
yet.
yet.
We're not there yet. Right. Oh, I like it because you get angry.
In terms of gameplay, I think the world is pretty amazing. Like the interconnected world.
Isn't that more the map design?
Yeah, where else would you put that?
Yeah, I guess you could put it on the game.
No, but I thought we were putting that under visuals.
No, that's
I think he means like shortcuts. That kind of
yeah.
So
it's one big map, and you make all these shortcuts, and the way it all connects together is genius, in my opinion. And the whole concept of this is one, obviously, probably the first game I did, I assume, of that balancing act of get as far as you can, but then you sort of start hesitating because you're like, if I go any further and I encounter a boss or something, I'm going to lose all these souls. So should I go back and level up?
Risk and reward.
Risk and reward, exactly. And
that feeling when you find the campfire and you see it just glowing.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
you keep going like, "Where's my campfire? Where's my campfire? Where is my campfire? I need my campfire."
And so many games have done that now, but this game obviously just does it the best out of any of them. And those times where you got you got 100k souls or whatever, and you're running along. And you're thinking, shit, I'm going to die, where do I... And then you reach a crossroads at one point and you're like...
Yeah.
One of these is probably a shortcut back to a bonfire. I have no idea which one. The other one could be a boss. I don't know. And that adds so much dread to the game, which it's just perfect. Like, I love that design of game.
Also,
and I'm glad other games are adopting it as well.
Also, with that, you have...
Bless you.
With that map design, for example, all the people you start at the castle, the High Wall of Lothric, all those general characters you have, like one of the very last areas you're in, because you end up in a different part of the castle, you get the same characters. Yeah. So like right at the start you see these characters, and for the rest of it you don't ever see them. Until you get later on when you're in the same area because like you said, it's all interconnected. Yeah. That you you end up going to.
It kind of reminds me of a theme park.
Well, I know what you mean. Actually,
all the areas are so wildly different, but all connected sort of things. But so like it, because you can't really say that it's just like one area because it's not, because they're so wildly different. And the only thing I can think of that you can compare it to is a theme park where it has like, I think Disneyland where you have like the princess place and then the thingy place. I mean, like everything has its sort of theme and it's all connected, but like it's all on a kind of smallish scale, I guess. So
you never really hit like any dead ends or anything like that. You just kind of get navigated through new areas. And
and honestly,
the only dead ends were when you beat a Lord of Cinder.
Yeah.
Because then at that point you
Campfire
go back
bit.
to the
Yeah.
shrine.
Yeah.
To
Start a different
pop
journey.
them on the throne. And then
Exactly. Yeah.
there's always another route, or you get sent to the next route.
It's a good point, actually. The way that it signposts your progression through the game is really interesting. It doesn't hold your hand at all, but you feel what you're supposed to be doing next quite naturally, and I think that's so clever how they've done that.
What was I going to say?
So do you remember? I don't know. Do you remember when me and you were playing? This is where it's all like interlinked. When we were in the catacombs, that one time that a crab spawns. There's in the catacombs. There's one of them tiny crabs. It's just out of nowhere, like
with the pillars and stuff.
Yeah, out of nowhere. There's just a crab, little tiny crab. He's just walking around on his own, and you think to yourself, you're like, how the bloody hell did you get here, mate? Like, you're kind of like,
well,
but then you think about it, the catacombs is below these things, and the crabs also go underwater, underground.
There's like sewers running down.
Yeah, so with thinking about it, you think to yourself, I mean, a crab could get here. I'm guessing it's scripted because the next time, my most recent playthrough, the crab was there again.
But what a nice little touch, though.
But yeah, it just shows everything so. It's linked. It links so well together.
It's insane.
What I like is you can look in the background.
And you can see everything else, can't you?
Tall structures.
Yeah.
And you can go to that place.
Yeah.
So I think there's one bit with the ballista shots that keep hitting the ground.
Yeah.
Like one of the early zones. And you can see where they're coming from. And you can go up there.
Yeah.
Have a chat with them.
It seems miles away.
Yeah.
But yeah, just pop up there, have a chat.
Yeah. It's the world design is
Exceptional.
top class. Like, I can't think of anything that even comes close to how well this world is designed.
Do we talk about that a bit more in the visual section?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we can talk about the world itself in terms of what it looks like and stuff like that. But I just mean, like, all of those things combined, the signposting, it's not signposted, but it is signposted at the same time. Obviously, for such a complex game, we've had to look at a few guides as to where to go next, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about how...
No.
Sorry, Adam. Sorry. But if you look at how complex this game is, how massive this game is, the fact that we only had to do that, 2 or 3 times maybe throughout the entire thing, and literally just to be like, okay, I've killed this Lord of Cinder. What's the next general direction to go through?
Why isn't this door opening?
Yeah, but apart from that, everything else, you pretty much, it kind of sort of navigates you through, like,
all flows really nicely.
It's just
really nice.
It's insane.
It really
it's top class. Like, some of that is the best, to be honest. I can't think of anything even close. So.
And on that note as well, I think the best times I've had with this game have been completely free flow exploration, just walking around trying to work out where to go next. That never got old. Like, I never found myself going in circles over and over again and being like, where do I go? Like, there were a couple of hurdles that we hit when we were trying to power through certain bits, but generally speaking, just walking around and taking it in, and just so much fun.
Yeah, seeing like a doorway and being like, the door's up there. You just sort of go for it. It's like death is up there.
Always death.
I think in terms of difficulty, I don't think it's as hard as people make it out to be, this one. Obviously, we played it co-op, right? And which probably
that does reduce the difficulty quite
yes,
a lot.
that is. But we'll come on to the co-op bit. I feel like there are harder games out there, like maybe Sekiro. I don't know.
Sekiro's
too much.
Definitely
harder. It's like, honestly, I'd say a scale of about 2 to 3 times more.
Yeah, because like Dark Souls, every time I ran into a problem, I just find a grinding route between a couple of bonfires and just grind the shit out of the game until my strength was like insanely high and I could kill things
power
so
through
quickly.
almost.
Yeah,
You grinded.
Well, yeah. Why would you not grind? Have you ever RPG before? What's wrong with you?
Just get good.
To get good, you got to practice.
Don't get hit.
I'm grinding and practicing at the same time. So me and Dan played a lot of it co-op, and Kevin joined us for a lot of the co-op stuff as well on the first playthrough. Co-op is a bit of an issue, in my opinion, because it doesn't scale at all, pretty much.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
At all. The aggros are really weird. So, like, not weird, it's just the enemy will have locked aggro to one person, the other person can beat the shit out of the enemy, and it becomes way too easy, in my opinion.
Why didn't co-op?
Yeah, I don't blame you.
You're not a fan of the co-op either.
No, I think it trivializes the main attraction of the game, which is the boss fights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed. Because it's like
I think you
I did
lose
do
that sense of satisfaction if the boss didn't even swing at you once because he was wailing on someone else.
Oh, you meant it that way. You meant it that way.
Exactly.
I thought you meant it.
I don't mind co-op in the bits in between the bosses.
Yeah, no,
so
I
just getting to the
yeah.
boss, but for stuff like the boss fights, I
thought you
think
meant in terms of
it's
actually other
best
people
to solo it because when
joining.
you finally do it, sure it'd be harder, but
yeah,
it
but
just feels so much better.
yeah, but
true.
it's not. It's almost. I always feel like because they limit where you can play in co-op and stuff.
Yeah.
Where like you can't if you've beaten a certain boss, you can't use co-op in that area anymore and stuff like that. But there's just. I feel like they should have completely said no. You cannot co-op during bosses because, like you said, it does trivialize it. It makes it completely pointless and way too easy. Like not even just less hard. It makes it easy. It is an easy game in co-op because there is no difficulty whatsoever because of the aggro thing. It's almost impossible to lose. Like you just.
I don't feel like there's no harm in including it though, because
No,
if
no,
you don't want that easy route, you just don't co-op.
Yeah,
I mean, the option is there.
that's true.
It's
I mean,
completely
yeah,
completely optional.
we optionally
Yeah.
voted for co-op. So
how many bosses? I think I asked this before. How many bosses do you actually fight on your own? So
Is this about
Probably about
20%?
half. Yeah.
Yeah.
so the Abyss
Well,
Watcher.
the first half or the
No,
second
the Abyss
half?
Watcher you didn't do on
Because
your
it makes a
own.
big difference.
Who?
The Abyss Watcher you didn't do on your own.
I don't know who that is.
He's
Yeah.
the guy with the fiery sword. You know when we were
No, I didn't do
struggling.
it myself.
No, you didn't do it yourself. So all of them bosses up forward you didn't do in. Like he did with Dan.
No, I did a few of them.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did Aldrich.
Aldrich.
Yeah, because you died like instantly, didn't you?
That guy.
The Devourer of Gods up on top of
Oh,
Yeah, the sludge.
I hated
Sludge
him.
dude.
Yeah, because you died instantly, and then I was like, oh my god, I actually did it by myself. So, I did
Wait, Sludge dude?
Champion Gundyr. I did Gundyr, is that his name? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did him. I did Dance for the Burrell Valley. I did a fair few, but
And they did feel better. when you did it yourself,
100%
obviously,
better.
like,
Yeah. It was like
There was one thing you touched on earlier on, and I think we did it. We touched on it in the podcast before. Was about being able to go to places, but giving you almost optional. So for example, the DLC, yeah, the DLC has story-wise, it has it has links to the main bit, but getting there has no links. So for example, to get to the snowy place, I can't remember what it's called. You just warp in through some dude by touching his wet cloth. Arendelle, yeah. You touch a wet cloth. To go to the Ring City, to go to wherever his name is, the Nameless King.
Oh yeah.
Archdragon Peak. You basically have to sit next to some like other like people like dragon people. You sit there and just like do one of the poses next to it, and then some goblins come up and pick you up and fly you to this
I think
place.
you have to have a specific pose.
Yeah, it's the
Or
same pose that
maybe
they're
a
doing next
specific
to
item as well.
you.
It's like the dragon rest pose
Yeah.
or something.
To do it like that, and then I think I can't remember, but I think even in one of the DLCs, you have to get to another one of the DLCs, you have to get picked up by some more people. I can't remember if that's true.
So the first DLC, you speak to one of the guys in the cathedral at the deep.
Yeah, he has the wet cloth. You touch.
Slave Knight Gale. It's part of it.
That's Slave Knight Gale.
Yeah.
Oh,
oh man.
oh, that's making some
And
crazy
it's-
things. I
it's
didn't know that was Slave Knight Gale.
Piece of a painting. Because you're going to a.
You fight this guy. He's like the final boss, the
boss
hardest
fight
boss in the
is
whole
fucking
entire
insane.
game.
Oh, the 3 stages, that one.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's 3 stages, but he's the hardest. No, that's not the one. The one I thought.
No, that's Sister Frey.
Just Afraid. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this one has 3 phases.
I think so as well. Yeah, but he's meant to be the hardest because he hits hard and he's quick.
Okay.
His
So
attacks are insane.
yeah, and their attacks that aren't like, for example, if you fight a big boss, they have very large attacks, but they're slow. His is quick, strong, large. Everything you don't like in a boss. But yeah, it's for the fact that these I kind of wish the DLC bits were linked in terms of how to get there with the whole place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it one of them things that it takes a bit away
To
from.
get to the second DLC, right before you fight the last boss in the main game, there's a bonfire next to it, and you just use that and you go to the second DLC.
Do you?
Yeah, that.
Wait, I thought the Ring City was the second DLC.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I already went there.
Where did you go?
I can't remember. Anyway, I can't remember that much. I went to it. Yeah, I went to
Back
it
on focus,
second, yeah.
everyone. Okay.
Did you go to the snowy place?
Yeah.
That's Ashes of Arendelle.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
It's Dark Souls 3 related.
Go on.
There's another little thing. I know it might get a bit on time, but one thing you can do, which I think I showed you this, that you can turn into a dragon.
Yeah.
So that's why they have little things into this game. That's what I think is really cool. It's a gameplay thing.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah.
It's another little, or maybe it's cosmetic. I don't know, but
You breathe fire.
No, it has an ability.
abilities. Yeah.
Because there's a video of someone one-shotting Pontiff Sullivan
Oh, really?
with that dragon thing.
Oh.
You do the dragon transformation, a load of other buffs, and you parry his first attack, and the
Bloody hell.
riposte one-shots him.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's so many layers, so many different funky abilities.
But to get it all, you have to like get the first two bits. I think you get it during the game, and another one you have to do another pose in this the first where the nameless king is, and then you have to go fight someone, one of the NPCs. You know the one that sits there and he doesn't really say much. He's there from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to say to him something, and then you have to go talk to the blacksmith, and then you have to go to where the
It's just a very
Abyss Watcher-
convoluted.
Yeah, and you have to fight him and beat him, and then he gives you it. You can turn into a dragon. I thought it was really cool.
All right. PvP.
Best feature in the game.
So the way he won me over a little bit with it was he said, if you're playing through this game as two people, the game is ridiculously easy. I'm sorry, but I'm the difference. I mean, you guys caught up with me in near enough a day playing PvP, because all you do is you just run forward and hit everything, because everything can get stunned. If you're both just continuously slashing, they can't hit you.
It's more the aggro thing than anything.
And the aggro, yeah. And the bosses are just stupidly easy when you play 2-player. But if you add the fact that you have a PvP in there, it means that you can't just run through the game. It means that when these people come along, you think it halts you from just speed through the game. That these people can come in. Yeah, there is a scaling issue with it, I think, as well.
Yeah.
From what I know, there is a if you're soul level 50, it's soul level 40 to 60 that can interrupt your game. But it's one of them, and also the lag is unbearable in that.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the big issues they have is that they can't seem to connect people with good connection.
Yeah. I thought the PvP was really good. I thought it was brilliant.
What?
I raged at it in a Call of Duty way. Because I'm shit at
you
the game.
hated it. You were like, this needs to be removed from the game. It's making everything awful.
Because
I hate
I can
it.
quote you. I've got the
Because of the lag.
Because they kept kicking your ass.
Because of the lag. It's a pointless
You
fight.
didn't mention lag. You mentioned this is stupid and should be removed from the game.
But then the lag does.
There's no
come
option to
with the
opt
PvP.
out,
Yeah.
which there is.
You wanted to opt out.
There is an option to opt
Yeah,
out.
there is quite a straightforward option.
No, but the option to opt out means he won't be able to play with you.
Yeah, that's not fair.
That's the opt out.
Yeah, which
No, I thought the PvP was really good by the end of it. I enjoyed it.
So
It was the lag that pissed me off.
I started invading other people's places.
I enjoyed it once I got a specific covenant.
Yes, I was going to say the covenant
Blue
system is what
covenant.
makes it.
Well, will you get help from?
It's the Blades of the Dark Moon, and they do a similar thing to the blue one.
Okay, cool.
So when someone else is invaded, you get summoned in to help.
Yeah.
The person being invaded.
Yeah,
That's
You
fine.
did. I
So
remember the
it's
amount of
good,
times.
the invader runs into the room, sees 3 other people, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
That was the covenant I picked as well, because it was quite nice. If you wanted to do some PvP, you just go stand in a hotspot area where there's lots of invasions, because there are some popular areas.
And Orlando.
Exactly, yeah. And you just get
It tells you
pulled into all these fights.
on the
Yeah,
map.
no,
It tells you.
yeah.
Yeah. I didn't
But
realise
no,
that.
the PvP is adds another layer to this already many layered game, and I think it's really good. I love the fact that you get invaded with when you're playing co-op because it needs some sort of difficulty spike in it. I hate the way invaders play to the point where, just like you hate campers in Call of Duty, I hate the way they play. I hate the fact that they see two people and just go just run off into all the NPCs, and you're just like, and then you just have to sit there for half an hour while they faff about, and then it's just a waste of time, and I can't be asked.
So again, there are ways around that. Like you can use a seed from the tree to make NPCs attack there.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, exactly. There are ways around it, which is good.
You can disguise yourself as furniture.
Yeah, we tried that before, didn't we? Yeah. But it's the lag is a severe issue. I do not think people should be allowed to invade when they're invading with that connection, because it is beyond a joke. And the way the lag works is that they are so far ahead of where their body is, and if you're playing a really precise mechanical game like this, it becomes impossible because you're hitting the place where they're not. So it's like,
you did a strength build, so your attacks are quite slow.
Yeah, exactly.
So your wind up, they're already long gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they could be anywhere. I don't know where they're going. So it was the only way I got around it in the end was by playing two-handed and doing swing attacks, because it was the only chance I had of hitting them.
Well, you could go Dex.
Skill-based build.
Yeah, no, but I think if they sorted out the connection issues, it would have been again like really good. But the connection issues are.
Say as well, like on the point of PvP, I think overall the community in this game generally pretty nice.
It's really very nice.
About 50-50.
I'd say it was mostly
Which is
good.
a lot higher than other games.
The amount of times where I've gone into a game and there's multiple people and they fight you one by one, or they bow to you, and you do the whole honor fights thing, and then I've just had some really cool. Like the first time I didn't quite get it. The very first time I got invaded was in the swamp with the big tower in the middle and the white demon on top. Can't remember what it's called. Farron Swamp, is it?
Yeah.
Wow. And I got invaded, and I couldn't find the guy anywhere, and he was taking ages to turn up. And I was like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to carry on. And I started climbing up that massive ladder in the middle, like the Metal Gear Solid style ladder. And as I got to the top, he was sitting there at the top, just like chilling. So I was like, oh, fine. He's going to kick me off as soon as I climb up. So I climbed up, and then he stood up. And I didn't really understand like the honor system in the game by this point, so I just kind of stepped behind him, backstabbed him, and he fell off the edge and died. I was like, "Wow, all that for that."
I had a weird experience where I'd just done a really hard fight, and I'd already I was on 0 souls. I hadn't got my souls back.
Yeah.
And I was so fed up, and then I got invaded by 2 people at the same time, which is bullshit.
Yeah.
The chances.
And then I literally just did the despair emote where you sort of just fall on your knees.
Yeah.
And I just backstab me. I don't care. Just kill me. I'm right next to the bonfire. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. And
but then, instead of the guy killing me, he climbed up to a ladder and jumped to his death.
Well, we've had some weird encounters like that.
We have, yeah.
I mean, generally speaking...
It's a great community, but then the other side of that is the dicks in the community. Like fucking Emma Frost, man. Emma Frost can fuck off.
Yeah, I agree. I hate her.
If you were listening to this username with the person with the username Emma Frost on Dark Souls,
and she kept turning up as well.
I know,
I'd stop
everywhere.
Playing, and then 4 days later, she'd appear in my game again and be like, fucking Emma Frost again. And she was like a mage that threw lightning bolts.
Maybe she's a fan.
Maybe
fuck off, Emma.
Maybe it's Lightning Leech.
Unsubscribe.
Maybe Lightning Leech is Emma Frost.
Oh God, could you imagine?
Maybe.
But I mean, I don't think there's much more to say about it.
What was the bit in the game that made you not want to play this anymore? And you as well. Both of you did not finish this game. Well, no, you finished the game only because I made you finish.
Did you not finish it?
He didn't finish the game.
What are you doing?
I said to him the other day to do what I did with you, basically getting you to the end.
Yeah,
we just run
you
through
were
the entire
basically
game.
at the end. There was 2 bosses there.
The thing that got me was, to be honest, I think the co-oping of everything, it just got a bit... It wasn't rewarding anymore to play through the areas, and the only way that I could have got that back is by playing through the last 10% of the game, whatever it was. Because I was in the last boss, I think, or the boss before the last boss or something. The only way I could have got that feeling back is by soloing that, and I knew it was going to be difficult, and I just kind of...
Didn't have the energy for it.
No, the second to last boss isn't that bad. The last boss, though.
I don't actually remember what the last boss that I did was, to be honest.
Did you do the...
He was in the library.
It's the twins. They're not twins.
Yeah,
Elder Prince and
Lothric.
Young Prince.
One's like on the back of the other.
No, he didn't do that one. I think he got there.
No.
The Dragon Slayer armor. Dragon Slayer armor might have been the last one you did.
Did that.
before the archives.
Right. Yeah. So I was
Because
basically
the archives were right behind his fog key.
Yeah.
That's where I got to, and to be honest, I think the issue that I had as well was I played it before you guys did. I think I got into it first, and I was hooked. I wasn't trying to one up anyone, but I think I got like 30 hours into it before you guys had even started. And you guys obviously wanted to catch up, so I came back and helped you. And then you was on the other platform, you was on Xbox. So by the time Ben caught up, you started playing it on PC. So I was like, I'm going to go back and help Kevin so we could all play together. And I went back and helped you, and I think by that, I think it just...
I have to say, this was a terrible idea of a Moonlight game.
I'm glad we did it, because I'm glad it made me play this game that I think is so good.
No, but the more I think about it, the more I think I would... If I didn't have to rinse it that quickly, I reckon I would have enjoyed it.
Though, that's the problem.
No, but I didn't know how long the game was, so...
Yeah, blame our Twitter
Yeah,
followers.
blame your listeners and followers.
Yeah, well...
I mean, who even put this game forward?
Yeah, it's quite easy for the person that had already completed it to vote for it, but you know...
I didn't actually vote for it.
You didn't vote for it, did you?
No, I voted for After Party.
Yeah. Alright, that's enough about gameplay. Let's do scores. Kevin, you can go first.
I'm going to give it a 9.
Why not 10?
Because...
Or why a 9? Whichever way you want to look at it.
I think a big thing that they put in this game is the PvP, and I think if they can connect the connection issue made it not enjoyable for that bit. It was fun when you had someone who had a good connection and you know had a proper fight with them. Otherwise, it just made it for a type thing. And also,
But you could have turned that feature off.
I could have turned that feature off. But then. Yeah, I could have. but then it is part of the game though, so...
I'm just saying, Kevin, eventually you're going to have to give something a 10, and I can't think of anything more deserving than Dark Souls gameplay. My score's a 10, by the way. So.
Mine's a 9.
Why is yours a 9? What's going on?
One reason. Fucking poison swamp levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every Dark Souls game has one, and they're all horrible. Blight Town in the first one. Can't remember what the second one's called, but it's basically Blight Town 2.0. And then this one is a stupid swamp. If they make another one, which they won't.
We not do points. We do points. We're allowed to. If
Decision time.
If I could give it 9.5,
Sure.
I'd give it 9.5.
Why not?
Otherwise, I'll go up to a 10.
Alright.
Sure.
I
We can-
will also go to 9.5.
From this point onwards, we can do 9.5. That's fine.
If they get rid, they redeem that swamp level a bit by the boss at the end of it.
Oh, the fire.
Also, the Crystal Sage is an arsehole, and she should be taken out of the game. Basically.
Okay.
What?
Daniel,
Crystal
say what?
Sage. The boss.
9.
9?
You just
Not
hit
0.5?
No. 9.
Why 9?
Connection issues. Some funky camera stuff from time to time is true.
Jumping is also really janky.
Jumping is
Oh god, yeah, it wasn't it? Oh, I forgot about that. But...
trying to get up onto the roof of Firelink for the first time.
Well, I mean, you're supposed to buy the key,
I know.
so
Are you?
you're exploiting a bug. You can't blame that for being janky.
There was that time.
You get-
The glitch shouldn't work. 7 out of 10.
You get locked in there as well, up in the tower when you go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah. And also, I wish the armor had more impact to the gameplay. I see what they were trying to do with it, but because it looked so good and I enjoyed customizing my character so much,
I mean, it affects your rolling.
yeah. So you got
To a
like the
degree.
mid rolls and the light
Alright,
rolls. And
that's enough gameplay.
I think other
9.
things as well.
Not to a noticeable degree, though.
If you have that ring where you have less weight on you, you attack faster. So if you have less armor on you, you attack faster, which is what I have at the moment. My dex build.
Decks that attack pretty fast anyway.
Oh.
Speedy boy.
Oh, what's the average? I think the average should be a 10.
Ben's trying to do maths.
It won't be 10.
9 point.
Isn't
Oh, it
roughly?
is, yeah, I thought it was. It's 9.5.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll spot on, okay.
Shut up. Do we get an extra point
Good.
for that?
I'm glad. 9.5, man. That's going to be hard to
I
beat. isn't it?
mean, it's iconic for a reason.
Although, 10 out of 10 would be perfect. No game is perfect. Nothing is perfect.
Disagree.
Gris, was that perfect?
Yes.
Funny
Okay.
that. Gris perfect game. Didn't win Game of the Year.
Oh yeah.
Some
Yeah.
remaster did instead.
Some rehash of
game.
some old game. I haven't played Grace.
Visual is the next one.
Absolutely stunning.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Bit blurry, isn't it?
Well, the backgrounds are a bit blurry, but they focused more on
It's
the
an old game
close
at this point.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
But just from when you first wake up
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resurrected
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
and you deal with like the little tutorial bit,
Mm.
Eh.
and you come out to the very first bonfire,
Mm.
if you just look to the side,
Mm.
beautiful view
Mm-hmm.
right from the get-go.
And they tell you that because people leave little messages on
Yeah.
the floor to
Yeah.
tell you to look to places and
Yeah.
go through secret walls and
And
stuff.
praise the pickle.
Never believe the secret wall one.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you always upvote them. Even if
Yeah.
they're trolling you, you upvote.
You can't be the only one to hit it.
I mean, it. I think it's the style that really got me. I
Yeah.
loved it. The whole Gothic architecture and just the scale of everything as well.
Yeah.
Like you feel tiny
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah.
Like you're saying,
versatile.
you can look out and see this massive castle in the distance that you know you can go to, but it just makes you realise how small you are.
Yeah.
And
And it works with just like the basic pillars and statues that you see around. It's
yeah, the level that got me with like how amazing the scale of the game was is it Anor Londo? Is that the name of the place?
It depends what place you're talking about.
Yeah.
That is a name of a place, but
Is there another one that sounds like Anor Londo?
No.
Then it's Anor Londo. And you basically go out onto this tower and turn the thing, and the tower sort of spins like a corkscrew and that comes up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
And you're climbing up, around this massive castle fortress thing, and just looking out at the scale of everything, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is mad.
and it's all linked.
And it's
Yeah,
all linked.
It's all like things you can
Yeah.
go to.
It's insane. It's just.
Skyboxes as well are stunning, like the way the
Mm.
clouds
Mm.
like move through the air and cover the moon. And
well,
What was
they've got the dark sign thing in the sky as well, where the sun's
Yes.
not there.
Yeah. And everything that you see
meaning.
has meaning.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what was it when we were? I think it was in Anor Londo when we were talking about the visuals of the game, and I was just looking at the floor, and I was like, every stone is completely different. like you're in like a cobblestone place,
Yeah.
and everything has different detail on it, and you're just like, there's no like copy and pasting of anything. There's no copy and pasting. I mean, like replicating
Yeah.
of anything. There's no just like.
I mean, there will be, but
But they've done it
Yeah,
so
well,
well that
yeah.
everything just looks unique, and just in general the texture in the game is really good.
Yes.
Like really good, especially for a game that came out a fair while ago. I compare it to The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 looks very good, don't get me wrong, but in terms of texture, Dark Souls just nails it so well. Like in the catacombs, of the textures of the wall, you can every single skull you can see the definition of. It's not just like a picture of skulls sort of thing. It's just very much like a
and it looks
rough
as if,
object.
Yeah,
and,
what you'd expect a catacombs to look like.
yeah,
So-
and
Never been one.
well, they've just nailed, and I say the style. It's not just the style because they nail about 15 styles throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
But every single area
Like
just looks insane.
the castle looks like a car. Like, it looks like you've got banners that's laid around.
Yeah.
You've got dead people with spears like popping out of them and
Yeah, and I could talk about this all day in terms of standout moments, because normally when I do these Moonlight ones, well, I want to find standout moments that make you realise something. And apart from the little cobblestone one where I look down, I could think of hundreds of places. Like one of my favourite ones, which was really bizarre, I don't really know why it was. Whoa, God. When you walk into the knight's house, there's like a big old room that looks like a great hall. It's not that big.
You fight
Walk in and you fight the Black Knights. And there's
Oh, the house.
the house. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they've got like a painting on the wall, and it
Yeah,
looks like a
yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, it just looks like a little
mansion.
fancy house, and you
Yeah,
fight a few knights
yeah,
in
I
it.
know.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
And then you got like the little room next to it, the fire and
Well, even
stuff.
before you
It's
get
just-
that, you make your way through like a kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just, there are so many moments in this game where you
Really
just
are,
think,
yeah.
damn. And I think in terms of a standout moment, the standout moment in general is when you walk into a new area.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it. You walk in, it goes boom and shows the name of it, and then suddenly it's like night and day. You go from like, oh, we're an hour in a village, and then you walk through a door, and it's like, oh, we're in a castle now. Cool, okay. And then it's like, oh, we're in a fire lake. Okay, cool. That's exciting.
Cool. That worm burst out of the ground. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's just stunning. Yeah. Anyway, someone else can say sorry.
There's one bit that you would have missed that I'd like for you to know. Sorry, once you link all the flame to the. Once you like go to the main place where you have to fight the final boss, yeah. There's like a bonfire, and then like a kind of a black bricky weird road that goes up to where the boss is. If you turn around and look in the distance.
Did you turn around?
No, we didn't get there.
No, you didn't get that far, did you?
You didn't get that far, exactly.
Man, yeah, that bit was
When
mad.
you turn around, you see the entire map, but almost folded, like like Inception.
Like it's all distorted.
You know when it's distorted.
It's
and comes,
so good.
You see the entire map, and almost you could see how everything links and where it was all together. And it was
incredible.
Like the bit when you got there and you saw it, and I think didn't Charlotte comment on it? I might have commented on it, and she was just like, she's like, what's that? And you just think to yourself, I've just spent my past 30, 40 hours walking through this entire place.
But seeing it all folded together in like a big box almost, and you're just looking at it thinking, oh, that is insane.
I might have to
you have
finish the last level.
Honestly, you should just so you can see that.
To then go from that to see that to where you are in your final battle when you're facing
That's cool.
all of the cinders put together.
It's like poetic almost.
Yeah,
it's just
cool.
astounding. Yeah. Anything else to say about the world?
What, the visuals?
No, just the world.
We didn't even talk about the ending.
Talk about character designs, yeah. So.
Oh, good point. It's more of a general point. I think covers all of the areas. I guess is we talked about there being like blurry distance stuff going on. Like you can't quite make out all the intricate features on a distant tower, for example. But I think something about the depth of field and the level of focus works really well because so much of the game when you're in combat, you're focused really intensely on what's directly in front of you. You're not really looking at what's way, way over there. And it has like this weird kind of, almost like a tilt shift effect. So, you know how like depth of field works in a first person shooter where you aim down the sight and everything blurs out and you can kind of focus into something in the distance. I think just it really adds to that sense of scale that we were talking about and just sort of forcing your attention into your character and what's happening around you and just sort of sucks you into the world.
Yeah,
I thought they just did that really well.
Yeah, I think it might have been purposely done for two reasons. Graphical limitations obviously, because if you were trying to render that entire world at any given point, it would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you said it on the other podcast we just did about Silent Hill, and you were saying about the fog was put in as because of a technical limitation, but also because of the setting.
Yeah.
And I think that the scale of the game and how big everything is. Have you ever tried looking at a building from very far away? It looks not blurry, but faded out. Yeah. It's not a crystal clear thing. Yeah. That's what it's like. Because the scale was so massive, things that are far away are kind of blurry, are kind of thing. Because if they looked crystal clear, it would look a bit weird. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like it could have been done in other ways with fog or whatever, but I like the way that they did it because it still showed the sense of scale.
Definitely, yeah.
Even though sometimes you look at it and be like, this could look really cool if it was all in like all rendered and stuff. But I mean, then again, you have to think about it.
It's blurry and not in full detail. You can still tell what it is.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you've been there before, you know that's that place.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love that.
In terms of the style for the characters,
and the bosses and stuff.
And the bosses. So in terms of characters, so in terms of human-sized people and hollows, whatever you want to call them. Really, really.
Yeah,
really
the
nice.
crab looked like a crab. The dragons look like dragons.
Like a crab.
Yeah. I mean, they were really cool, I thought. The armour looked really cool, looked really unique. Every character had its own style again, which is something they're really good at, is nailing loads of styles in one go, which is mad. Because, like, I don't know what Sekiro's like, but you're playing a game set in feudal Japanese stuff, and it's like, it all fits that theme. Whereas in Dark Souls, it's like, villager type people, cultist people,
weird deer people,
crabs and werewolves and just
fucking deer. I hated those guys.
It's just they nail all these styles, and that goes across everything. That goes across the NPCs, the as in the ones you talk to and stuff like that. But it also goes across the boss design, which is incredible. incredible. The boss design is just
Yeah.
insane. It's absolutely grotesque and insane, and I love it. It's glorious.
I like how it definitely gets better as the game progresses as well.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's a reward for you pushing through.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be harder, but you know the spectacle is going to be even more amazing than anything you've experienced so far.
People criticise Dark Souls 2 because the boss design, some of the bosses were a bit shit.
Okay.
This game had 2,
Because
in my opinion.
they were either copies of previous bosses, but just more.
Yeah, like the old gargoyles.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were famous, weren't they?
Or they were just an ordinary mob, but bigger and
Yeah.
with more health.
Classic.
You know, there's one of the bosses, the dancer.
Yeah.
Beautiful,
Mm.
absolutely beautiful. Also, I don't know how much this goes. Maybe like the way that they fight and the character who they are. So, for example, like this boss is called the Dancer of the Boreal Valley, and its moveset, she's very wavy, almost like a dancer would be. Very
the flowing
Yeah.
sort of
And
skirt thing. Yeah.
the way that they fight and the way and the weapons they have and stuff all match their lore. So, for example, the dancer, she initially was a maiden before Pontiff took over, and then was forced to be a dancer. And from that, she then got sent out to be somewhere really far away. Was given a ring that turned into a beast that wants to fight you. So was there and would basically be dancing and spinning around, and it was magical just seeing her come down from the top.
Happy listening to say this. So this fight was the only fight in the game, right, where Charlotte was out and I was playing it, and then she came back and I showed her a video of the fight, because I was just like, it's haunting and mesmerising at the same time.
Hypnotic.
Like with the music, hypnotic's a good one, like with the music and her fight style, and it was that sort of a really slow but like graceful moves. But with the music, it was one of the...
Did keep making me think of Beyblades though.
I'll
It was
Beyblade
one of the best like visual audio boss fights I've ever come across, to be honest. It was astounding. And so many of them are. Like, you look at...
the twin swords, what's his name?
Is that Pontiff?
I think it is.
Yeah, Pontiff.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
love
was
that fight
amazing,
so much.
The way
That cathedral.
I liked him because he, even whilst fighting you, he just seemed so regal. He never really sort of
It was really
lost
calm,
his
wasn't he?
composure.
Yeah. But they all had
That's
personality.
the personality of it. Yeah,
Every boss
exactly.
had like...
Yeah.
Was... Yeah,
Like
I don't know, it's
some
just insane.
of the bigger ones, they'll be quite calm and everything during it, and the more you start killing them, the more angry and more crazy they get, and a bit more, and almost like their second stage that they have, and the moveset, and like you can almost see the anger in them, like you're killing me, like I hate you so much, and then their body language and everything just. Yeah.
And then with the law stuff, where you're like, these lords of Cinder don't want to do this anymore. It's almost like them rebelling, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of sounds, it's like a cry for help, almost, kind of thing.
I think they're sick of the cycle.
Yeah. It's just amazing. And the a weird example, because this is probably considered one of the worst boss fights, the Rotten Tree.
Yeah.
I thought it was amazing.
There's one worse.
Yeah, but one of the worst boss fights.
Deacons of the Deep.
Deacons of the
Fuck
Deep
off.
is that shouldn't be in there.
That
Yeah.
was awful.
It's pointless as well.
So
There's no
easy.
point to Deacons of the Deep, was it?
Oh,
It gets you to the catacombs.
that's it. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Abyss Watchers does that. It gives you something.
Is it the storyline for Sigurd?
It gives you the key you need to get to where the Pontiff is.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Because-
All right. Well, okay.
You know the bridge to that town where the Pontiff is? The
Yeah.
snowy place.
Yeah.
To get through that bridge, you have to have a certain item.
Oh.
Otherwise, you can't go for it.
Oh, okay.
And Deacons of the Deep give you that item.
Nothing's pointless in this game.
It's a doll or something.
So there were definitely a
Oh,
couple of
I can't remember that,
exceptions
you know.
to the boss design, I think.
Because Deacons of the
Or
Deep.
but they were
work for the
so
Pontiff.
rare and
Head-
few
head
and far between,
priest.
you know. The tree.
What were the Deacons of the Deep? Were they
The
big
swarm
group-
of skeletons.
Oh yeah, I didn't like that one.
Swarm
But
of priests.
the trees, a lot of people didn't like the tree, but I thought that was a really good example of the cry for help thing again, because it just looks like an ordinary kind of tree at first. He's just sort of. Kind of. He's a tree with legs.
At first.
Yeah, at first. Yeah.
But how many trees do you see with hands?
That change of state with the hand thing makes you. It's like, oh, he's like infected, sort of thing. Like this is him sort of possessed, and the tree itself probably isn't bad. It's
he's rotted.
Yeah, but that's
his name.
Yeah. Yes, I know. But I just thought it was quite a cool boss design as well. Even if the fight itself wasn't a great design, the
it's very
visual
much
stuff
hit,
was really cool.
hit the weak spot kind of fight.
Yeah.
And I feel like
It's
those
kind of like a Resident Evil fight.
Dark Soul fights don't really fit as well.
Especially with the weird hitboxes and stuff.
Yeah, I had a few super dodgy hitboxes in that one,
Yeah.
But, cool. Anything else to say on visual?
Looks good.
That's it.
I think the lighting needs a special mention because it's so subtle and yet just adds so much to the atmosphere. Like everything from the glyphs on the floor just having their own subtle luminance to like the spirits passing through the world just having a very slight glow to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ghosts were quite
You
cool.
can tell from like first glance of the summon sign whether it's an NPC or a player or a bad person.
Yeah, so it's purposeful as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like super simple, back to basics,
Colour
coded.
Yeah.
It's like if they are bright red, they are bad. If they are blue, then they're good.
Dark colour's bad, light colour's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think even your character has the slightest glow around them.
No, he
as well.
does. Yeah, when you walk into dark
when you have-
places and you have like.
Well, I like the effect of when you have your ember.
Oh, yeah, that's
you
really
have
cool as
the
well,
sort of little
That's cool.
crisp burning particles on you.
Yeah.
I thought that was just because I was a pyromancer.
No, it's when you're ended.
Oh my god, I was like, this is really cool. It's a really cool type that they've added to a pyromancer, you know?
Yeah. Alright.
Okay.
Scores. Adam, you can start this one.
Lovely. Love that one noise.
I've forgotten even what the category is.
Visual.
Visuals.
Jesus.
9.
9. 1 out of 10.
Because it's not perfect.
You can go 9.5 then.
You're never going to give anything a 10 then, are you? Because nothing's perfect.
It's because some of the NPCs, not NPCs, some of the enemies were a bit standard.
Yes.
Like the zombie type dudes.
Yeah.
Although they fit, they still weren't that exciting to look at.
These skeletons were the real low point for the.
Yeah, they were a bit
yeah,
rubbish, weren't they?
Skeletons.
They was just
The
a
whole
bit-
catacomb section was a bit like.
I hate that section.
Yeah.
Even the boss of that section was shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that boss.
What the?
For the spectacle and the ambience of it.
Yeah,
I didn't
spectacle
expect
wise,
it. I just kind of looked.
Yeah, it's cool at first,
Mm.
and then when you beat it, you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, again, if you notice, all of the bad bosses are weak point bosses.
yeah.
So all three of it, including the mob one, because it's like, oh, you have to kill the one guy sort of thing. It's like they're all just weak point bosses. So that kind of shows that formula doesn't really work in a Dark Souls game, really. Okay, cool. Dan?
Also 9.
Kevin?
I'm going for 9. It's actually what you just said, yeah. I think some of the areas were just a bit box standard. They could have done a bit
So
more.
I think every area
Okay,
in that game was glorious apart from the
I
catacombs.
don't think any of the areas were. Even the catacombs looked good.
Yeah. Like I said,
for a catacomb, they looked great.
Mm.
Yeah.
Even like when you were on the thin pathway, and you could see all the various pathways. And it looks great. It's just the enemy design of some of them.
Yeah, I'm going for 9 as well.
I think the average is to. Let me work that out. 9.
It's 9.
How do you, honestly, your brain is...
Wait, hold on. It's 9
static.
plus
Beat
9
maths.
plus 9 plus 9
So
is
6.
divided by 4.
That's 9.5.
So our average score for visual is 9 out of 10.
9.
Man, this game is going to get some mad good score.
It's because it was so good.
It was.
Good game.
It was a very good game. Okay, cool.
So-
Let's
What are the other
Bad for whatever
categories?
follows this.
crack on with audio. Last two should be quite fairly simple.
I'm
Okay.
waiting for Adam to say it's good.
It is what. There's one sound in the game
You don't
which
like.
I do not like,
What's that?
and it's when your sword hits a wall.
Oh.
So-
And you know at that moment that you're going to get hit as well.
Yeah, you know.
So, other than the PTSD that sound causes, I think everything sounds very impactful.
Yeah.
I don't like the sounds of the
hits.
skeletons.
See, that's surprising because I thought the complete opposite. I thought that in terms of sound effects, that everything sounded a bit tinny.
I mean,
Wouldn't it
everyone's
be?
wearing armour.
Yeah.
No, as in like when you have crap headphones on and it sounds tinny,
Oh,
it sounds a bit hollow, just a bit. Nothing sounded really meaty in my opinion. Like you hit
What,
someone...
even here, you go.
Yeah, it makes that meaty squelch sound.
Yeah. You must have known that hitting things with your massive hammers and stuff.
Yeah, but I don't think it was as impactful as you would say as it should have been, in my opinion. What do you think, Dan? You're an audio man as well. What do you think?
Well, I use dex swords for the most part, and I think it depends on what you're hitting as well.
Yeah.
To be honest, I know what you mean though, because I think sometimes I would have liked to feel almost like more bass or something, like more of a crunch to it. But
Yeah,
I didn't really use many weapons that needed that, or would have expected to hear that in. So
I guess like I felt like my weapon sounded exactly the same as a dagger, and I'm like
Did you use a
using.
dagger?
Okay,
Maybe you should have
sword.
gone dex then.
As in like I don't know, a little ethereal straight sword or whatever. My massive XL greatsword had exactly the same sound effect as that, and I was like,
I do agree.
Felt a bit.
I think every weapon does have the sound hit effect.
Yeah, and I for a game that has so much effort put into everything, I feel like that was a little bit lazy, a little bit.
But
Because,
how much can
there
you
could have been
can you put with like? I don't know what the difference would be. Even if you hit someone with a hammer, like you still get the crack of the ground when you hit the ground or something with like an over the top attack, and
but
it
should like
you
shake things, shouldn't it?
you swing at.
I mean, you're not superhuman.
Yeah, you're just hitting a hammer on the ground.
have you seen
like,
the size of that?
Made of like polyester.
or if you swing your sword and you hit that before it hits something, or you miss something, or you hit you miss or you whiff it or something. You know, it's you know it's.
I know what you mean, but I just feel like the noises in general were quite tinny. They were quite lacking of diversity in the EQ range.
Okay, that's fair enough.
They
yeah,
all
that's
felt
fair
like
enough.
quite hollow.
They're in the same range.
Did they sound quite hollow?
Yes.
Hey-o.
And that's the end.
But stop.
Play me out.
But like, it kind of sounds like the difference between wearing in-ear headphones and overhead headphones. Like, it just sounds very lacking in a few frequency departments. And
Maybe
just
it's because
a
I
bit-
don't use very good headphones.
I tried it with both. I've tried it with a monitor set up and with like 7.1 headphones, and the directional audio and spatial audio was fine. I again liked how the sound effects changed when you were inside and outside, but it all just felt a bit lacking.
I had mine on the shitty one ear thing that comes with the console.
No,
Oh man.
I was listening to music at the time. So.
Yes, you normally have a stream in the background, so that stream is on my proper headset, and then I had
Other ones on the inside. Okay, that's a
On the
weird way of doing it, but okay. More happy things.
Well, Adam's score doesn't count.
Some things that I liked, for example, the change in music when you got into a boss. It fit the boss, and it made you feel like you was in a boss. It picked up. It made everything,
proper crescendo style.
Yeah. And
bit of choral music.
Throwback.
yeah, I thought it made you know that you was in a boss. It made you know that you were about to get yourself into some serious deep.
I think this game has a very clear definition between sound effects and music. The music was outstandingly good and fit every single situation perfectly, pretty much. The sound effects, not so much. I don't think they were anything special. They were an average 7, maybe.
I know one of them I noticed was was quite good in the catacombs. Whenever you go across one of the pressure plates and it fires the arrows from miles away.
Yeah.
And you would hear the as it would send a few sets of things through and
it had some particular sounds which were good, but as a whole it was just a bit flat, I thought.
And the ambient sounds of moving around and the footsteps
And the rolling and
rolling, that was all okay. But although I didn't think anything negative of the combat sounds, I do remember feeling a little bit like, almost like I didn't even notice it. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I feel like there's no satisfaction in that. Like some games, you really do feel your sword like rip through the enemy.
Yeah, like if I'm going a full strength build and I've got bloody Smaug's hammer, whatever it's called, and I'm just I want to hear some serious meat
skull
grinding action, man. Yeah, like, and I actually, I don't know. It was.
I think that's fair enough, actually.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything outstanding in terms of on the sound effect part.
For me, it didn't detract from the game.
No,
not at all.
But it would have been nice to have.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Yeah,
like the voices of the people, for example, like the way they talk.
I love that. Yeah.
I love everyone sounds really mystical, wise.
But the echo of the voices was really good. Like it sounded like imagine having like mics set up all over a really small room sort of thing. It sort of like resonated really oddly, but kind of. But because they all sounded like that, it was really cool. If it was like the odd one to sound like that, would be a bit weird. But like it's like just a standardized thing where that's what people sound like in this game. And I just thought
I think it was like the eeriness of it, because a lot of the game you feel like you're quite alone, and then coming across another entity in this world is quite an unusual, surreal experience, and it just adds to that.
It's kind of like ASMR.
It was kind of. Yeah.
Also, the way that they, and again, I'm sorry to bring this up again, but it was really good. Is the way they talk as well. Sometimes, and like the way they almost were, like the NPCs these are. And maybe even the bosses related again a lot back to their lore. For example, one of the biggest characters who I didn't really like was called Patches. I don't know if you met him. He was like a bald dude. It's like, no one likes him and everything. But the way he talks and the way his voice was so, it matched of who he was. He was a trickster. He was an arsehole. No one liked him, but he spoke like that. He spoke as if you didn't like him. And for example, the coal. The blacksmith, he was very, he was a bit more light-hearted, a bit more,
But he still sounds very gruff, which matched his
his
physical appearance.
The voice acting was really good. I mean, the small amount there was really good.
And the little crispy man on the throne, what was his name?
Crispy.
Oh yeah.
Sounded like he smoked 100 fags a day.
It reminds you of that thing in is it SpongeBob? The little worm thing that gets like crisped up.
I always found that guy funny because you fight all these bosses who are the other Lords of Sinners, and they're all massive badasses, and then there's just this little guy. It's like, hello!
4'5", and it's just.
It's like
on his massive throne, it's a little dude.
It's like, how did this guy get this job?
Alright, cool.
In the sequel, maybe.
It's probably like one of those anime old men who look harmless, and then they take their top off.
It's like All Might.
Yeah.
Alright.
What's the last topic? I can't remember. Think of it.
Well, we haven't done the scores yet.
I know.
Steady on.
Oh yeah.
Alright, steady on. Scores. Who's it now?
11.
Me. I'm going to give this.
Do you want someone else to go first?
I'll put mine
someone else go
up.
first.
Why would you volunteer yourself and not have an answer?
I thought we were going round.
Oh,
I go again, but
I've decided mine if you want me to go first.
Yeah, go on.
7.5.
Oh, popping in half now.
Good.
It would have been 7 because, like you said, the lack of variety of sound in the combat. But the soundtrack's just too damn good.
Yeah, that's why because I'm stuck between like if it was just based on soundtrack, it would be like a 9. But the sound effects, I'm just trying to figure out how much it brings.
7 of those 7.5 points is the soundtrack.
Like, genuinely, if they did like a Dark Souls 3 orchestra, I would go and see that.
Oh, that'd be well cool.
Yeah, mad man.
Yeah, it would, seriously.
All right, so Adam is 7.5.
Just above average. Well done.
Cheers. That's what I aim for.
First time I've ever heard that in my life.
Anyone? Scores?
I'm going for an 8. Only for the fact that I think because
you're a Dark Souls fanboy, you won't give anything less than that. Yeah.
Because gameplay is such an important bit, and the main criticism we had was due to that lack of crunch and the feel that you have, and a bit of similarities. I think that's why. Actually, no. Oh, yeah, perfect. I was going to go a bit desperate.
No take back.
Yeah, apparently not. I can't change the 75 or 7, no.
I was going to go 7 because in my head I'm now just hearing the sound of you rolling over and over again, and I just realised how repetitive that is, and actually a little bit frustrating. But then there's also the different types of footsteps. And I'm nitpicking here, but when you get invaded, and you can kind of tell if the invader's running around on a wooden platform or if they're on concrete, you can tell, and that's a nice touch.
It's weird that there was so much effort put into that sort of
You
thing.
can even hear them when I'm on a ladder.
Yeah.
Never heard someone go down a ladder so noisily before.
Yeah, it's maybe a bit
Proper
forced.
stomping every step.
Yeah.
Although I guess they are in armour.
I'm going to go 7.5 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's up to the Benji boy.
4. No, I'm joking. I'm going to go 7.
It's copying my answers.
Yeah, no.
Am I really? You actually like...
Yeah. I'm going 7 because the sound did bug me throughout, to be honest, and I even tried listening through different things to see if it helped, but it was just tinny. It just bugs me. It just felt like someone just needs to fix that EQ a little bit, you know. But so I've gone for 7. So that means the average score is 7.5.
Ooh. I'll be good at this.
You said that to him last time.
Yeah, but he's getting them all right, isn't he?
Alright.
If we just get Adam to divide it, then we'll go for everyone's.
Adam's definitely the closest.
Yeah.
Did he get the last one wrong?
The last 3 he's got dead on.
I think I was closest for Outer Worlds as well.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I'm just a man of the people. I know what they would say.
You're just an incredibly average man.
Dex.
Wow.
I'll take that over below average. Like I said, I'm a pessimist. I'm easy. I'll take a 7.
Alright. Value.
Don't hype myself up.
We can't not give this game a good value because it's like pennies now. It's like 10 quid.
No. RRP.
Even when it came out.
Oh,
RRP.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd
Just yes.
You have to do RRP. You can't just be like, well, I got it on sale on £15, so for me...
Well, if you didn't get it for
so-
RRP though, how can you
Doesn't matter.
reflect on
Just RRP
the
is the
value?
recommended price. So this is what the company said. This is how much it's worth. Is it worth that much? That's the value.
How much did they say it was worth?
50 quid.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So much
As in
content.
terms of a rating, what would you give it? How many hours worth of gameplay and how much enjoyment can you get out of it in terms of?
Well, with
50
New
quid?
Game
Why do I have
Plus,
to explain this every time.
plus
don't I?
DLC, plus PvP.
No, ignore DLC because that's not part of the river.
It is if you get the.
Yeah, but we're talking about the base version of the game here.
Okay, but
Especially considering none of us played the DLC. I don't think we can really use
Played a
that
little
as
bit of it.
I
value.
played it.
I played a little bit of it.
Okay, well, we're talking about the base game here.
I mean, the base game has the DLC now because it's. been
Oh,
out
alright,
for so long.
dude, come on.
I'm just clarifying.
So okay, RRP with the DLC, you have to look at what's that, like 80 quid? So just do the base game for 50 quid. Because when the DLC came out, they charged 15 quid a pop or something. So
Yeah, but you.
It's 80 quid with the DLC. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is.
yeah,
I'm saying there's the Game of the Year edition.
We're not-
They give it a special name.
this is not the Moonlight episode of Dark Souls 3 Game of the Year edition. This is Moonlight episode of Dark Souls 3.
But if we're given a
God's sake.
a value opinion and someone hears that and goes, "Oh, okay, that's pretty good value for money," I'll go get it. They'll be getting the Game of the Year edition because why wouldn't you?
Then they'll get even more value, won't they?
10.
Yeah, 10, 100%. I think there's too much replayability in this game.
Plus DLC.
And they have the online arena as well, where you can 1v1 people.
Plus, you can set your own challenges. You see it with speedruns all the time. They've done like level 1 playthroughs,
No
0
hit
hit
runs,
playthroughs.
You have 4
speed
endings
runs.
you have to do.
4 endings.
All 4 have a different end,
You get a trophy for each, or Xbox Live achievement, whatever they're called, or a Steam achievement.
Out of curiosity, how much value would you guys give Doom?
Doom. I'd give that quite a lot of value because of the player-made maps.
Okay, not including the player made maps.
Why not? It's in the game.
This is a completely hypothetical. Pretend there's no player made maps. Just
But there is. I mean, I can't ignore part of the game.
No, what
and
are you
then,
getting at then?
That is part of the game, though.
yeah,
That
it's
is
part of
technically
the game. That's what you've
If
part of
that, if
what
that
you
comes
paid
with
for.
the main,
okay,
the main
why-
game,
fine.
Why
Bad
would you
example. Think of a
ignore
game.
it in the
like,
main?
I don't know what the point you're trying to
Yeah,
get at is.
we don't know what
okay.
the point is.
How much value would you give Quantum Break?
I don't know what that is.
Oh.
I've never played it.
like Monster Hunter.
I thought it was a
What's wrong
film.
with that?
No,
Isn't it a film?
It's not the right example.
Or was that
I'm trying to
Quantum Leap?
give.
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap.
There's something very specific you're trying to hit here, isn't
Yeah,
there?
it
That I
is.
don't know. I can't figure out. I can't.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is, can you really base the value on a game on the amount of times you can replay it? Because you can replay anything and set any challenge for yourself that you want to in any game. So what makes Dark Souls so special?
Well, for one, if you want to know all 4 different endings, you have to play it 4 different times.
Okay, so what value would you give Bioshock 1?
I don't know. Is there different endings?
Yeah.
Kevin didn't get past the lighthouse.
No. Well, how much of that?
Okay, any game with more than one ending, what value would you give it? Because you can't just say,
Well, it
Oh, well,
increases the RRP because you have the replay. It gives
no,
you
not just for an
replayability.
ending though, and self-given challenges. That's kind of like, that's not really more content. That's just.
Also, where it
stuff
has the
that-
multiplayer side of it, it means that there's. I mean, I guess it's a bit different because if there was like a ranking system, then maybe you could give yourself a challenge or something. But you can fight so many different people. Every single day, it's different people you're fighting against.
Not necessarily.
Okay, you do come across Emma Frost a lot, but you know.
But even at the higher levels, you'll find that you'll probably find that there's a select group of people within your bracket that you'll end up fighting quite.
Yeah, but
a lot.
then you can respect your person,
Then
so
you
it's a lower level, and you
Build
can
a
fight different people.
community, and that gives value in and of itself.
I think the amount of new game pluses you can do is not where the value is. I think
No.
it's in the online aspect of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think you can say that you can set yourself challenges therefore it has a higher RRP.
Yeah, I haven't been challenged.
I get what you're saying, but I don't know. It's one of there's so many different play styles in it that I feel like if I got really bored on my second run or whatever, I could quite comfortably respec to a completely different play style. I almost feel like I'm playing completely.
The only thing I don't like about that is that depending on what character you choose, for example, when I went from a pyromancer to a full strength build, I looked up like a general guide of what people would go for, and I had so many points put into faith that I couldn't even follow it because
But you can respect your.
but you respec, but you can't respec your initial character. So if you start as a pyromancer, you already start with 14 faith. So you can't.
Like 3 points.
That's why you start.
No,
deprived.
it's what?
That's why you start deprived.
Well, yeah, I guess so, maybe, yeah.
It's a good
But
point,
in this factor, like I had so many points put into things I just didn't need that it meant that I mean, all it does require me is to grind and get a bit higher level. You know, it's not that, but it was you can't necessarily respect to exactly
I think
what you want.
what I'm trying to get at is that the value for money should be based on one playthrough.
No.
Why?
Because that you're experiencing all the content of the game in one playthrough. The only
But you're
difference, apart from the 4 endings, you are.
What if you want to play a different playstyle?
Fair point.
It's surely the RRP is the game you get. Whatever comes with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
really
what you get.
struggling to put a number value on value because I think it's kind of a yes or no question. Is it worth the price? Yes.
Or
no.
you see it, or you see as 7 being the average, meaning you would pay £50.
Yeah, then
Or
we had the same conversation.
I feel like I'm
or if you pay £60, you give it a number 8, or if you pay £70, you give it a 8. Obviously not like that, but
I feel when doing it that way, I'm just adding an arbitrary number to. It didn't really feel like.
I think for what you get in that game, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's
I think
more
everything is. I think there's so much to this game. Obviously, some games you have a lot more, and it's a lot. You know, imagine you had a 100-hour game type thing. But I paid. I know I only paid £10 for this game, but if I pay £50 for this game, I've played it so many bloody times, and I haven't even. I touched the DLC for a bit, and I wasn't a fan of it because I wasn't very good at it, and it annoyed me. But the main part of it, there's so much to it. I think there's so much to it. There's places.
There's mods as well.
It's good.
which
Hackers are quiet and I'm not that
I
game.
don't think you can include mods though, because there's not
That's
official
not like the
modding
game.
support.
It's not
They haven't
official.
released any tools or anything. It's just
That's not the
happens to
game
be
behind,
it's
yeah.
built in a way that you can.
I
mod it.
disagree.
If you
I
bought,
think the modding community is a part of the value of the game.
can you get mods on Xbox and PS?
Some people buy games just for the modding community.
It's a fair point. Okay, I think everyone's trying to get too technical on this, including me. I think the point is, this is completely opinionated, just like everything else. All you need to do is, how much value did you get out of this game on a scale of 1 to 10? What rating would you give the value that you got out of this game?
But I only paid a tenner for it.
If you paid 50 quid for it, it's just
RRP.
imagine.
That's the only technicality, is
But
that it's
You
RRP.
can't answer that question if you didn't pay for the RRP.
Imagine if you did.
Yeah, just imagine that you
Would
paid
you
50
write
quid
now?
for it.
Okay, well, would you write a ridiculous situation? If they came out and said whoever has this game they have to pay an extra 40 quid
I mean,
to
I
make
did
it
buy
RRP.
RRP.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Hold on. Why are you arguing it then?
what's the principle?
This one is supposed to be the quickest one.
You're,
I don't know
Okay,
why
you're trying to put a number rating on a yes and no question.
No, I'm not. I'm putting a number rating on the value of the game. It's not, is it worth £50? That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, how much value on a scale of 0 to 10 do you get? No?
What,
9.
what if...
Thank you, Dan. There we go. First number. We got 9.
Was
Any
the
other
game
takers?
worth what I paid? Yes, therefore 10.
But you have to put it into context and contrast with other.
Like the
Titles.
reason he didn't play that he didn't put a 10, he put a 9 is that he thinks you get a lot from what you'd pay RRP, but he thinks that there are other games out there that you can get more worth for.
Yes.
But then there's a
yeah.
lit ton of games you can get. For example, what is it? Outer Worlds. For me, that RRP was fucking awful. And the game was. I would never pay that money ever again for that game. But this game, I would. Because I personally didn't think it was that great.
Can't comprehend it, can you?
Hence why 7's the average.
Awkward
nothing makes
question
sense.
to put a number value on.
Well, I feel like Minecraft's a 10, for example, because there's so much flexibility in what you can do with it, and it's designed for that purpose. Whereas this, I feel like, will eventually get stale after.
Okay,
two
that's fair enough.
playthroughs.
I'll actually like that. I'll go for in that case. I'll go for a 9.
I get
Because
your
I think
point,
there's
but I'm
a certain-
struggling to...
You can get.
It's...
It'll get stale.
Ugh.
Yeah. This game. If you
So a
continuously
game
play it, you
that
get stale
has-
after a while. Yeah.
infinite value would be a 10, like Minecraft. Because Minecraft
Yeah,
effectively
but-
has
but-
infinite value.
But if the content's good,
the bit I'm
it's all
struggling
subjective.
with is to figure out where Dark Souls fits in that. Because you're trying to... I'm just sticking with 10.
No, explain yourself. Okay, I'll put 10 anyway, but explain yourself. What do you mean?
If there's like a scale of value, say, 'cause I can't think of a 0 example. Say you buy a game that doesn't work.
Yeah, there you
Control.
go. Yeah.
Fallout 76.
Control would probably be
I'm struggling
0.5
to figure out
Well, what's the point for that?
turned on.
where certain games fit within that scale, because I have no reference points other than the extremes.
Sure.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
So I could say it's a 9 because it's not quite Minecraft, but there's probably a whole load in between that. And I feel like working that out, I'd be here forever, so I'm just going to say 10 because I think it's worth the recommended retail price.
There you go. It's more based on your experience. How much do you think that it's worth the value of £50? Right. It's
Well, I
more.
think it's worth the £50.
Yeah, but
So
do you think Outer Worlds was worth the £50?
No.
The £40. But you gave it a 7, which means
you didn't give it a 0.
Which means you think £40 was a perfect example of what Outer Worlds you'd pay for what the game was.
we're gonna go
If you
back to
think
the
you
fucking
get
7 is average again.
7 will always be average. We can talk about it more off pod, but I can see the confusion, right? But it's more just value for money. 0 out of 10. That's it. It's just I'm not giving it a 0 out of 10. Take back. It's you can do it. You can put a rating on that because you're rating how much you think it is worth the value that they've put on it.
But then at what point between 0 and 10 is the game was worth the money? At what point does it become the game was worth more than the money?
10.
Wait, what would 8 be then? Surely, wait, no, okay, no,
Do you
no.
see my issue
No,
with the
okay.
thing?
I can.
Surely in this case, yeah, well, from what you said,
Can't we just make
Surely-
it a yes and no question?
no, because you can't give a 10 or a 0, otherwise it would really drastically affect a thing.
Well, no, just say either yes or no and don't include it in the overall ratings. Rather than having 5 ratings, have 4 and then just
how
say
can
yes.
you not? How can you not see that? Okay, again, seven being the.
Alright, you know what? We're changing the rules from now on. I really like that idea. Is it worth value for money? Will no longer take part in the thing because we've had this conversation
Yeah,
on
that's
Outer
true.
Worlds as well, and
Are we
we're
gonna
not
remove
going to
that
explain
one?
it every
I wonder how
time.
much it changes.
It might just be me struggling to.
No, I know what you mean because
Yeah.
the issue is that you're saying how much on a scale of 0 to 10 is it worth the value of the game, but that is essentially you giving it an overall
The issue is
score.
I have no reference. I have no reference points other than the extremes. So
Yeah, if we had like 10 games that we'd done, then you might be able, and they're all the same price,
Yeah.
then you might be able to say this one I would recommend more because you get more value.
Maybe I should have
out
stuck
of
with
it.
5 as the average then, if that was the case. if we were comparing it to
Yeah,
I think
obviously.
5 would
Alright.
be the average.
but then the idea of value is subjective as well, and that adds another. It's just I'd much prefer it was just a yes or no question.
Thumbs up, everyone. Was it worth the money for the
So
value?
with the knowledge you now know, would you have bought the game at the price?
Yes, I would.
Perfect.
Yes. And the
Alright.
DLC.
That makes it 10, 10, 10, 10.
No. Okay, so we would all recommend it. So if any of you numpties have listened to this, I haven't played it, we all fully recommend
Absolutely.
the game. Sorry for that little 5
Sorry.
minute conversation.
I apologise.
Adam
I went
just
off on a
tore
bit
our
of a tangent.
Entire structure apart. Thanks, Adam.
So
I struggled to understand.
Totally valid point.
no, that makes sense. I was struggling to repost that.
You get a massive thumbs up from Kevin because he done a lot of research on the lore and he didn't get to talk about any of it because he realised that in the middle of it that it didn't actually make any sense to have all the lore behind it all.
If it makes
But I
Kevin
got
feel
excited,
better, I
yeah.
read it and I
Yeah.
appreciated the work he did.
Thank
you.
I don't know why I'm speaking in the
Because
third
it's
person,
so
but
cool. It all.
Right, so I'm gonna go through the scores. Story.
Hold my hand. This is gonna
So
be
we
number
do
one.
this as a percentage, by the way, like we did with Outer Worlds. So
Oh,
Outer
yeah,
Worlds got
yeah.
72.9% or something.
Overrated.
How would it get 0.9? I don't know because there's 5 categories in. Does that make sense? I don't know. Okay, so story is 75%, which I think is valid. So, but to summarise, the story was really interesting. The world was really interesting. Are you guys holding hands?
Come on.
This is our game. This is our game.
Dark Souls fanboys over here. This means a lot.
Yeah, the story was really interesting, but it wasn't that easily accessible. I think is the
Yeah.
main
Do we agree
reason.
with that? We agree with
We
that.
agree with that.
Yeah,
I knew
okay,
that was my
good.
score.
Oh yeah, that's true. You agree with everything that you gave it.
If I disagree now.
No, you're not allowed to see.
Yeah.
The gameplay, it's got 95%, which is bloody admirable, I have to say. Mainly, it's just pretty much flawless.
The fact that you set boundaries means it's good. Perfect.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's mechanical, methodical. It's like a dance in every encounter you get into. Even late game, normal enemies, you're still fighting in a dancey way.
Because you can't fight two at once, basically.
Yeah, and I think the few points people brought up about the drawbacks were the cameras being annoying sometimes.
Swamp
and
levels.
The swamp level.
Stop putting swamp levels in your game.
Yeah. Did we all give it 9.5 then?
No, it was, I gave it a 10, you gave it a 9.
No one
and you
wants
both gave it a
stupid
9.5.
Floor that poisons you.
It's true.
No one wants that.
Put poison resistant armor on, you'll be fine. Visual, the visual score is 90%. Mainly the world just looks amazing and it's all interconnected, and that scene at the end where you turn around and see the whole world folded in on itself is just incredible. I think the drawbacks, what are the drawbacks for visual? The NPC, some of the NPCs being really basic.
Enemies.
The enemies, sorry, being really
Enemies,
basic, like the skeletons in the thingy.
Catacombs.
The catacombs, yeah. But in general, really bloody good. Audio is it's probably main drawback. I'd say we've given it 75%, which I kind of feel a bit sad about. I feel like the soundtrack, the music should have brought it up to about an 80 personally, but
shouldn't have laid so low.
I think they've used the same sound effects for most of the Dark Souls series.
it just the sound effects were lazy in my opinion. They could have done a lot more. And considering how much effort and how well crafted the rest of the game is, it just felt a bit lacking, particularly in that department. I felt like that, and I think everyone pretty much felt like that.
It's a good consensus.
Yeah, so 75%. So our Praise the Pickle score.
I think it's going to be as high as I want it to be.
Oh, and for value, we've now scrapped value in terms of scoring, and we all recommend it. Yeah.
Score for value is yes.
Yeah, score for value is yes. So our Praise the Pickle score for Dark Souls 3 is 83.75%.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That was a massive round of applause.
I wasn't very. I think this game is so much. The fact
It's
that
weird.
the fact it's only got like 11% more than that pile of crap of Outer Worlds.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
I didn't
Come
think it was
on.
that great. I'm sorry, 11% better than Outer Worlds. You know
but
what?
again,
If Value for Money was in it, that would have rocketed that number up.
Remember, it's a consensus, okay?
I'm
And
very upset.
It's a consensus, and Dan and Adam actually quite enjoyed Outer Worlds, so that's just how it works. That's how the cookie crumbles.
I think also Outer Worlds got away with a bit more because it was the very first one we did.
True.
It was, and yeah, it did, yeah, for that sense, and also the value. I'm sure I still have the paper at home somewhere, so I can see our scores because I'll redo it for the taking value out because the value. We all would have said the value was pretty decent because it was a fairly big chunk of the game. It was at least 7 out of 10 from all of us, so that would have brought that up as well. But I'm happy with 83.75. It's weird. I don't feel like it's that good of a summary of the game. Yeah. Because I almost feel like gameplay should have been like a 15 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the gameplay was so good that I'm just like, the audio and story don't feel like it should have brought it down as much as that.
I always feel hesitant to give stuff 10 score, even if it does deserve it.
Yeah.
I always find some little nitpicky thing.
I mean, out of all of this, it got 110, which was me for gameplay. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's just a pessimist.
83.75%. Hell yeah. So, who wants to announce our
I think
Moonlight game?
The man himself who brought this to our attention. Stand up.
So in terms of listeners,
I actually need to stand up. I've got a cramp in my foot.
We no longer are going to do voting for our Moonlight episodes purely out of hassle and things like that, and
they no longer care what the public think.
Yeah, we don't care what the public think. Basically, we put a lot of time into playing games, and it's just easier for us to curate our games. Also, depending on what's popular at the minute and stuff like that, it means we can leave it to the last minute to decide as well, because something might be blowing up right now that we want to play. So we're no longer doing voting. But if anyone has any suggestions for Moonlight episodes, please do give us a shout, because we are more than up for suggestions, because we're going to run out of ideas eventually. So throw any suggestions our way and we will definitely consider them.
I've always got controls back up.
I'm so down for that.
I will play Control just so I can shit on it for 2 hours. I can just rip it to shreds. Oh my god! I've never felt so excited about giving something zeros, because it's just gonna be glorious.
Let's all get it on PC.
No, wait, because I think it's probably comes to Game Pass next month.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Our game for February. I mean, you all know this, right?
Yeah.
Is Disco Elysium. Did we all vote for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for you guys to start playing it.
I don't
think.
No. We'll get to it.
I'm not far enough in yet to form an opinion.
Excellent. Can't wait.
Yes.
I've withheld playing much more of it since we made the announcement.
So, guys, play along with us. I think it's still on sale on Steam for £28, and it's I haven't played it yet, so I don't know what it's like, but it is supposed to be very good. But please play along with us and send us some feedback. So what we would like to start eventually doing is giving a bit of feedback on what you guys think about these Moonlight games in the actual Moonlight episodes. So if you guys just let us know what you think. It can be really short, one sentence. You can think it's crap. So, for example, when we do the Control one, I need people to back me up on it. So just make sure you're writing for that one. All right.
I'm not going to back you up. Everyone seems to like
I am sure there are people out there that don't like it. Okay. Let's call it there. Dark Souls 3, 83.75%. Admirable.
Pretty good. Pickle squad.
Basically 84%.
Yeah, let's call it 84.
It should be like more like 95.
All right. Love you all. Leave you all. Pickle squad out.
Bye.
Bye.